What is up, guys? Welcome back. So today we're going to be taking a look at R5 again, because this time I think I'm finally ready. I'm finally ready to make a guide and well, actually just talk about some of the requirements you might need to be able to make a raid team in general, or make a raid team for R5. After the power up stone event, I actually got a lot of my runes to plus 15 now, so I think they're a lot better than before. But I still might need to switch some of the runes around on the next rune removal. But I did a few runs of R5 yesterday with a friend of mine, and it was actually really stable. It was I think we only failed like twice out of like 5 or 6 refills. I think I did like 5 refills, or maybe 2 refills. I can't count properly. It was like late at night. I can't even remember. But we only failed like twice. So it wasn't that bad, and it's usually my fault if we fail, because my team isn't exactly all that good. It just meets the really the bare minimal requirements needed to be able to do R5 stably. So we're gonna take a look at my units and their runes just really quickly. So this is Diaz. He's on 2 sets of Revenge Guard, and it's on defense, HP defense. My Delphoy is on Violent Guard, Speed, Defense, Defense. Bethany is on Violent Revenge, HP, Crit Damage, Attack, I think. And Colleen is on Violent Revenge, Speed, HP, Accuracy. Xingza is on Rage Blade, Attack, Crit Damage, Attack. And Miang is on Violent Revenge, Speed, Attack. So the way my team works is I have 2 frontliners, Delphoy and Diaz, and their rune will like pretty high defense. So they're taking the front line. Diaz is providing the damage reduction for my team, 15%, and he's also got an anti-crit for himself. So the dragon's going to be doing a little bit less damage to him. Less crits means less damage. And Delphoy is going to be getting the 15% damage reduction from Diaz, so she doesn't need to be that tanky. She has a lot less HP, but since she's getting the damage reduction, she's going to be taking less damage in general. So she doesn't need to be as tanky as Diaz, and also need her to be decently fast because she's my cleanser, and I need her to cleanse the debuffs off my team. Bethany is my main DPS. Well, actually, these two are both my DPS. Sometimes Bethany does more damage than Xingza. Sometimes Xingza does more damage. It's a bit RNG-ish. Bethany is like really RNG-ish because her third skill does armor ignore on a 30% chance. So if this activates a lot, she's going to be doing more damage than Xingza. If not, then she's going to be doing less damage. But overall, they're doing most of the damage on my team. And Colleen is just here because Colleen is pretty much one of the best units you can have for raid. She has really useful debuffs and a heal and attack buff for your team to be doing more damage. Xingza is my main DPS. I don't have him on Violent, I have him on Rage, and this is just for raiding, because a lot of his damage comes from counterattacks. So you don't actually need it to be his turn for him to do the damage. That's why I decided to just rune him Rage and give him as high attack as possible. This way he's just going to be doing a lot of damage to the boss even when it's not his turn. Pretty much since there's 6 units, he has a 25% chance to counterattack every single time someone gets attacked. He's like, unless you're super unlucky, he's going to be counterattacking every single time that the boss makes a move. Miang, I forgot her name for a second. Miang is my main healer, and she is serving as a secondary DPS as well. She has like a little bit of damage because she also scales with attack, and that's why I can build her speed double attack, and she's going to be doing pretty decent damage as well. And she also has a pretty high resistance. She's just here to get as many turns as possible. I'm making use of the Revenge rune and for her glancing. So this way she puts the glancing on the boss a little bit more. And yeah, and she just heals my team. Her heal also removes, well, it doesn't completely remove harmful effects, but it reduces the duration of harmful effects. And most of these harmful effects only last 1 turn, including the stun. So she's going to be removing all of them whenever she makes a move. If you know, like right now. When there's only one of them left. So we're gonna do another run again, and we're gonna come back in, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more about stats as well. Alright guys, we are back again. So as I said before, my team basically just meets the minimal requirements needed to do R5. If you look at their stats right now, Diaz basically, I think Diaz is completely fine. He's really tanky. He's really just fine like this because he doesn't really need any sort of speed. He has some pretty decent debuffs like attack debuff, but I have other units that provide attack debuff as well, like with Colleen and Bethany. So it's not the most important thing. And the armor break, I also have Xingzi to provide that. So I have 2 armor breakers. So none of his debuffs are just like, he's not going to be the only one providing a lot of these debuffs. And as for healing debuff, since he has the healing debuff on his first skill, I put him on double revenge. This way he's going to be putting this on the boss a lot more. So his stats are completely fine. He doesn't really need any speed. He just needs to be as tanky as possible. If you're running like a Diaz or Darien, this is basically what like his stats you know, probably should look like. For Delphoy, I think she could use a little bit more work. She definitely needs a bit more tankiness. I think her speed is okay. Like as a frontliner, her speed is fine, even with only just plus 79. Because she's, you know, I have a secondary like pseudo cleanser, which is fine for well, which is working really well for me. That's what I was trying to say. But she definitely needs to be tankier since I'm using her for the front line. I think she could use a little bit more HP, but a lot of these HP runes could still be buffed and powered up. And that's why I need to, you know, farm a little bit more raids, and probably the first HP and defense runes that I get for Violent are going to her. Bethany is kind of in the same boat as Delphoy. She could use a bit of power-ups on her HP runes as well, HP and defense runes. And she, like, I temporarily have this HP rune on this slot, but eventually I want to switch this to attack once I'm able to get her HP from substats high enough. And you know, for backliner DPS without any sort of damage reduction or anything, your stats might want to look a little bit like this. Maybe try to push like 20k HP with a little bit of defense, and that's kind of the same for Colleen. Colleen's like 20k HP ish, bit less defense than Bethany, but I think she went a little bit over because she happened to have this defense substat 12% here on this rune. And Colleen is she's just here to provide the debuffs. She's basically here to provide these 2 debuffs. The most important debuff is obviously the attack, and then the heal block is the second most important. And then she's also healing as well and giving your team an attack buff, which is really nice. The same thing for well, actually it's different for Xingzi. I really can't talk today. I'm like really messed up. But Xingzi's here just basically to do as much damage as possible. This is pretty straightforward. I think I explained just his mechanics before. Just full damage, attack with counterattacks. Miang could use a little bit more HP as well. Her HP is actually the lowest out of all my members. That's because she's not using any of her, or she's not using any single HP rune on any of these slots. But some of her runes can still be powered up. Well, not really powered up, but like grindstone a bit to get a little bit more HP. Maybe switch some of her runes around so I can get some HP substats. So the most important thing you kind of need to have on your raid team, I would say like everyone should at least have a Colleen. This Colleen has all 3 of Colleen's skills are super useful for raids. Because the most important debuff is the attack debuff. The second is the healing, heal block debuff, and then she's also serving as a healer, which helps your main healer a bit because you're gonna be, and this way you're gonna be running like 2 healers because Colleen's gonna be healing sometimes, and if your main healer happens to get stunned, Colleen can save your team with her heal. And she also has the 3-turn attack debuff on a 3-turn cooldown, so she's going to be able to, if her AI does everything properly, she's going to be able to keep the attack debuff on your team at all times, meaning your entire team is going to be doing a lot more damage to the boss. You obviously need the frontliners, someone that's tanky enough with high defense to be able to tank the dragon's attack, and you need to have DPS. You need to have damage dealers, because damage dealers are, a lot of people I think have the misconception of, if I can tank through R5 I can clear it, but that's not exactly the case. The dragon actually gets stronger over time, and as he gets lower he actually gets more dangerous. He starts doing more damage, meaning that you probably don't want to drag the fight on that long. Like, you want to try to end the fight as fast as possible, and especially at the last 25%, you want to have as much burst as possible. Well, not really as much burst, but like constant DPS as possible to actually be able to kill the boss. And you want to have DPS, you want to have damage dealers. I keep saying DPS because, like, you know, DPS is like damage per second. It's just slang for damage dealers. You want to make sure all three of your teammates have some sort of damage dealer. In his case, he's using the Hua, and he's using Tessarian as his damage dealer, and I'm using Xingze and Bethany as my damage dealers. I think I'm doing pretty high damage. My team is doing like really high damage. I don't have the highest assist. I have a bit of debuffs, but they're not like super good. So I think in this case, I'm serving the role as the main damage dealer. But you want to at least have one damage dealer on your team. Doesn't matter who, like, you know, doesn't matter if your main role in your actual like raid party is the main damage dealer. You want to have at least one damage dealer to do some damage, because when the boss falls low, sometimes like some really dangerous things can happen. You can like all miss attack debuff. A lot of your healers get stunned, and if you only have one person doing all the damage, if his healer gets stunned and dies, then the boss is going to kill his team, and then the other two won't have enough damage to finish off the boss, so eventually they're going to die as well. So you want to make sure all three of your teammates have some sort of damage to actually be able to kill the boss, even if one of you wipe, because that's going to happen eventually. Like, one of you is going to die at some point when you're doing like a few hundred runs in a row, like non-stop. Eventually something bad's gonna happen. You can't, like, because the boss is really RNG-ish. He can stun you. He can jump up at random times if you happen to reach the 25% point. So sometimes your main healer can get stunned, and the one doing most of the damage on your team can die as well. And since the guy like is doing the most damage on his team, he's gonna be running a lot of damage dealers on his team. Like me, I'm running 2, so it's gonna be riskier for me because I have less heals, less support, and just basically less stuff to keep my team alive. And the damage dealers in general actually are less tanky because they're gonna be built with more of an attack type, you know, rune set compared to all my other units. As you can see, I'm cutting like super close. I might actually die here. Well, actually no, I think Miang is okay-ish. I just lost Miang. But that's pretty much exactly what I was talking about. Like, one of the people doing the most damage can actually die. And if you happen to not put attack debuff or heal block onto the boss, there is a chance that one of your teammates can wipe at the last 25%, and that's very likely the one doing the most damage, because he's going to be the one with the most attack type monsters on his team. And someone please put attack buff on the boss. Oh god, we wiped. I wiped. Rip. I think that was Miang's problem. She was just too squishy. Somehow Xingze's still alive after all of that. Oh man. It's alright, you guys can see my fails too. This way, you know, this way you guys can kind of know what I'm talking about. I think this is a very good example. This is a really good example of what I was just talking about. At the last 25%, the one doing your most damage can have a chance to wipe. And if you know, if your other two people have no sort of damage, then the boss is just gonna stay at like this amount of HP, and he's gonna very slowly wear down your team because he's gonna get stronger over time. So you want to make sure you have at least some damage to be able to take down the boss. And yeah, that was one of the points I wanted to come by. I think I need to do a little bit more testing, but once I find out some stuff, I'll make another guide as well. Pretty much just power up Miang's runes a bit more. She's quite not as tanky. You probably need to have like 20k HP on your backliners, like at least 700 defense on all your backliners, and she doesn't really like have that yet. So I need to work a little bit more on her. But all in all, this team is looking pretty good. Hey guys, I just wanted to show you guys my Discord channel really quick and invite you guys over to come and hang out again. I briefly mentioned this in a previous video and put a link below, and some of you already came here and joined, but I thought it would be a very good idea just to show you guys, because like, you know, if I say, oh, come to Discord, no one knows what the hell Discord is. But I think it's somewhat common now if you usually watch streams or do stuff online. Basically, Discord is like a chat program. It's not even a program, it's just a website. Like, as you can see, this is on my Google Chrome. It's on a different tab. Like, you know, here's the Summoners War Reddit, here's Discord. And what Discord is oh crap, my game crashed. What Discord is it's just a website where it's kind of like Skype or TeamSpeak, where you can just come in here and you can just talk. But instead of it being like call based like Skype, it's channel based. So as long as you join a channel, you come in and join a channel, you can just start talking to people. We don't have that many people active right now, but hopefully in the future you'll always have people on here hanging out, and then you can just come in and start talking. And I think that's pretty much it. Like, there's just all these voice channels for different games that I set up, and there's also like chat channels. I plan to make this the general chat, like Chatty the general chat in the future, but I set the Summoners War chat on default, and like most of the people here do just play Summoners War, but sometimes we have Summoners War unrelated stuff. It doesn't really matter that much right now because there's not that many people on here at the moment, so we can just use one chat for now. But I did set this up so, you know, in case it ever gets you know, somewhat big. And yeah, it's basically, I made it like member based. As long as you come in here and talk for a while, the admins or me will just add you to member, and I'm usually on here, so you can just come in and talk to me as well. And I made like 3 public runes, so anyone that gets like the link below, or if you give the link to anyone else, they can come into the channel, but they might not have access to all the runes until they're made a member. I just made it like this, so just in case people are making new accounts to troll, because this is super easy to get in. You don't even have to do anything. Like, you don't even have to make an account or anything. You just basically, like, you type in a username and you can just come in here like instantly. But you can make an account for this as well. If you want to ever, you know, bind this to something else, or you think you might stay on this channel for a long time, you might want to make a permanent account on Discord. You can do that as well. But this is just super easy to come in. As long as you have the link and you can open a web page, you can have access to this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next video, or maybe I'll see